Here.
Hartman,
Here.
Nelson,
Here.
Lavanino,
Here.
Infante,
Here.
Julian,
Here.
King,
Here.
Aguilera Hernandez, Richards,
Here.
Clark, Rouse,
Here.
and Chair Osborne.
Here. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, before we do public comment, would you like to remind us of the housekeeping?
Certainly. For all the panelists, please remember to mute your mic when not speaking. If you'd like to comment, please use the raise your hand button. If you're an attendee, you will be in listen-only mode. All attendees will remain in listen-only mode unless unmuted by SBCAG staff to provide public comment. Comments from the public are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. The public will not be able to share their video or screen. When public comment is called on for an agenda item, attendees may use the raise your hand button to express desire to provide public comment for that item, and you will be unmuted when it is your turn. Those calling in on the phone can dial *9 to raise your hand.
Thank you. The public may address the Santa Barbara County Association of Government on any subject within the jurisdiction of the board that is not included as part of this agenda. Comments shall be limited to no more than 15 minutes divided among those desiring to speak, but no person shall speak longer than 3 minutes. Do we have any requests for public comment in Santa Barbara?
None in Santa Barbara.
Thank you. Do we have any requests for public comment online?
No requests for public comment online.
Thank you. Do we have any requests for public comment here in Santa Maria?
No requests for public comment in Santa Maria.
All right, we will close public comment and bring it back to the agenda. The next item in the agenda is closed session. And Madam Clerk, would you read that into the record? Or our county attorney, SBCAG attorney? Whoever's attorney it is, please read it into the record.
SBCAG, it's yours.
I'll get there. I told him it was a rough morning this morning and I'm proof. Proof positive.
Chair and Directors, today the board's agenda is to discuss 2 items in closed session. The first item is the Executive Director Performance Evaluation under Government Code 54957 Subdivision B1. The second item is Conference with Labor Negotiators. The employee is for the Executive Director. The agency designated representatives are Chair Osborne and myself, Susan McKenzie, as legal counsel. And prior to recessing to closed session, I just recommend making sure there's no public comment on the closed session item.
Absolutely. Is there any requests from any of our locations or online for public comment on a closed session?
I've received no requests for public comment from Santa Barbara or online or here.
Great, thank you. Do we expect about 20 minutes, 30 minutes? All right, so we will reconvene in 30 minutes, but stay tuned in case it goes quicker than that. Thank you. Welcome back. We will reconvene today's Santa Barbara County Association of Governments meeting.
Chair and directors, today the board met in closed session to discuss two items, the executive director performance evaluation and labor negotiations, and took no reportable actions.
All right, moving on to item 5, it's our consent calendar. It is approved by roll call vote in one motion. Is there any item that a board member would like to pull? All right. Anyone in Santa Barbara?
Are any of the directors back in Santa Barbara yet? Jared just sent me. But Chair, I do need to pull item 5C to be read into the record, and also Director Williams, if he's in Santa Barbara, needs to recuse himself from item 5H.
All right, Mike's live again, sorry.
Okay. Chair Osborne, I will make a motion to approve the balance with the exception of C, F, and H. Is that correct? Is that, okay.
Actually, I don't think Director Williams is in there. So
You can leave
I'll leave-
H there unless he shows up to vote.
Okay.
Just has to state he's recusing himself.
That's great. So it's C and F.
I'll second that.
So do you want to do C first or?
The motion was to approve the balance.
I got
Okay.
that. Oh, I didn't do well.
You didn't do a roll call.
Sorry, get it ahead of myself.
It's
Want me to do it for you? Lavanino. Oh, yeah,
Okay,
Do we have any public comment on the motion for the remainder of consent calendar?
Chair Osmond, we have no requests for public comment either in Santa Maria or anyone attending via Zoom.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Thank you. Director Williams. Caps. Hartman.
Aye.
Nelson.
Aye.
Lavanino. Infante.
Aye.
Julian.
Aye.
King.
Aye.
Aguilera Hernandez.
Aye.
Richards.
Yes.
Clark. Rouse.
Aye.
And Chair Osborne.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
And Rouse and Hartman were there.
They were?
Yes.
Did they
Oh.
say anything?
They were, showed them on the screen. Oh, it showed them on the screen, but.
Is
we can't
anyone
hear
in
'em.
Santa Barbara?
They're back.
Yeah, we're here.
Oh, they're just coming back?
We were still in closed session,
Can
misreading.
you,
this.
can anyone hear us in Santa Barbara?
We can hear you.
No, we can't hear them either.
They can't hear us.
All right.
Can you hear us in Santa
Can
Maria?
we can hear you now. We couldn't hear you before.
Did you get our vote?
No, we didn't. So we're gonna, actually, Director Williams needs to recuse himself from item 5H. So we're gonna do,
Just
So-
do roll call on the balance of the agenda except for items C and F with Director Williams recusing himself on H. And we need a roll call vote on that.
So
Right.
you're
I
not
need-
taking a separate vote on H?
yes,
Now we'll take a separate vote on H. So the new motion,
I'll amend my motion to reflect what the chair had.
Second.
and so now the roll call vote will be for the remainder of the consent calendar except for C, F, or H. All right.
okay, here we go. Director Williams,
Aye.
Caps,
Aye.
Hartman,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Lavanino,
Aye.
Infante,
Aye.
Julian,
Aye.
King,
Aye.
Aguilera Hernandez. Richards.
Yes.
Clark. Absent. Rouse. And Chair Osborne.
Aye.
Motion passes 11-0. Okay. So let's read five C
Yeah, just go in
into
order.
5C into the record. 5C, final SBCAG fiscal year 2023-24 overall work program and budget. 5C1, adopt resolutions 2314 approving the SBCAG overall work program and budget. And 2, a 5% cost of living adjustment COLA for fiscal year 2023-24 for SBCAG staff and executive director Kern. Prior to the board acting on this item in accordance with Government Code Section 54953, subdivision C3, the executive director's salary shall be summarized verbally. The recommended action includes a 5% increase effective July 1st, pay period 15/2023, which will result in a change to the annual salary from $239,711 to approximately $251,697. And 5C2, approve and authorize the executive director to file and execute all necessary applications, overall work program agreement with Caltrans, certifications and assurances that may be required to receive the federal and state funds requested to finance the activities described in the overall work program and comprehensive budget for fiscal year 2023-24.
All right. Discussion? City Attorney? On item C1, since we're still in negotiation, should that be still a part of this approval?
Chair and directors, for the time being, if you would like to postpone until May adoption of the COLA, that would be to move staff's recommendations with the exception for the COLA increase at this time.
Okay, thank you for that feedback. All right, any other questions, concerns, comments? Anyone from Santa Barbara? Director Kern.
Madam Chair, members of the board, if I may, if the COLA can be applied to the rest of the staff rather than me at this time, and then we can move forward with the budget. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Just needed to get that clarity. Okay, so we now will entertain a motion and I will clarify that we adopt C with the modification that the staff COLA will be applied, but the executive director will be held back till the May meeting. Is that what I'm hearing? Clarity? Good. So that's the motion. I'd entertain a second on that.
I'll second that.
And second, any questions? Anyone in Santa Barbara? Seeing none, then let's go ahead and have roll call vote. Oh, do we have any public comment on item C?
Chair, we have no public comment.
Thank you. All
Okay.
right, roll call.
Director Williams,
Aye.
Caps,
Aye.
Hartman,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Lavanino,
Aye.
Infante,
Aye.
Julian,
Aye.
King,
Aye.
Aguilera Hernandez. Richards,
Yes.
Clark, Rouse, and Chair Osborne.
Aye,
Motion passes 11-0.
thank you.
And now we're gonna go to 5F.
Yeah, that was mine. I just, if you would, Fred or somebody can explain a little bit about. Okay. That, yeah, I pulled that. I wanted to find out a little more detail on the timing and the increase in funding.
Yes, Director Julian and board members. So we're talking about the Highway 166 Black Road project. I mentioned that in the board orientation. It's going to construction this summer. So what's before the board today is an amendment to the cooperative agreement for Caltrans, who owns the state highway. And Caltrans is providing controller equipment for the proposed traffic signal that's going to go in at that intersection. And so the cost of the equipment had gone up from the previous, so we're amending the agreement to include that additional cost.
Now that I missed the staff report on that, and it's increased funding by 1.049 million. What is that about?
Oh, okay. And then the agreement, the last time we presented this was several years ago.
Right.
So now we have detailed engineering drawings and updated contract estimate for the work. And so in that time, the estimated estimated engineers for construction is about 1.8 to $2 million. I think previously we were looking at around $1 million. So the costs have increased in like 3 years. Due to the amount of work, the details, and some of the drainage work that is needed to cross Black Road in that area, and some additional improvements that came through the requirements that we were obtained both with the county along Black Road and Caltrans. So.
Will this construction be in the beginning or the end of summer?
So the timeline right now is we're hoping to come back to the board in June for an award of the contract.
Okay.
And then it could take up to 2 months to actually start work out there by the time the contractor gets all their submittals in. So towards the end of the summer, to answer your question.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Director Osborne?
Yes.
Yeah, I got some further questions about this. The funding, so the additional cost that's coming in this project, so SBCAG is expected to pick up the balance here. I don't think that was the original amount that we had committed to this project for Caltrans. The Caltrans facility.
It is a Caltrans facility. It's a Measure A project. It's one of those projects I mentioned earlier that's led by SBCAG. It was always intended to be fully funded with Measure A dollars. And so it is within our strategic plan allotment in the investment plan for the Highway 166 safety and operational improvements. So there is the Measure A money there to complete the project.
So the extensive delays that we've had on this project is pretty much lays at the feet of Caltrans. And there's yes. So it's been going on for quite some time. And my understanding that there was going to be some cost sharing on their facility on this project. So that's where my concern comes on is that, we have a lot of improvements on 166. I think that the mayor, it might be a concern with that as well. And I don't want to see the balance of that taken up so significantly if it's, we're going to have to throw in another $1 million into this project. So there's a big concern there. So
Okay.
Caltrans has not shown any willingness to support this project.
Director Kern.
Yeah. Madam Chair, Director Nelson, this project is a Measure A project. It was not initiated by Caltrans at all. This project would not get done unless we put up the resources. So this was a priority for this agency when Measure A was passed back in 2008. So there was never a commitment from Caltrans to fund this project. It probably wouldn't happen if we did not. So are we talking about the same
Yeah,
project
we
here?
definitely are. And I
Okay.
think some of this predates
Okay.
when you were on the director,
Okay.
some of these conversations, but
Okay.
originally the county was holding up our funds to make available to match Caltrans. Originally was the discussion I remember in previous iterations of this. That's one of the reasons why we went to Caltrans and they said if we want, I think original was about $1 million that we were committing to this project. And
The original estimate the Director Julian
Right.
brought up was in the $1 million range to build a traffic signal at that area. Yes.
right.
And then the delays were a result of going through the whole iteration of having to recirculate an environmental document because Caltrans did want us to study roundabouts, and based on the board's direction and what they wanted to see built at that area was a traffic signal with the Measure A dollars. So it has been presented to this board on many occasions that this are Measure A dollars and the board has discretion, like Director Kern had mentioned, it was intended to be a Measure A funded project solely led. There's no incidents of safety out there that would cause Caltrans to initiate a safety improvement project. We were trying to address an operational deficiency because in the PM peak hour, Black Road, people have a difficulty making a left turn and merging onto 166. And so that created backups on Black Road. And so that was the purpose of the project and has been the purpose of the project from day one.
All right. I recall some of this differently over the last 10 years. So I'm I want to see the project move forward, and it definitely is a safety
Mhm.
issue out there. I think there's no doubt about that. My recollection was that we were holding back moving forward with funding this project, or at least our $1 million. If they were going to go to the roundabout, that was many discussions that we had
Yes.
with Caltrans over the last 10 years, last decade here.
Yeah.
So, and all along I had always believed that it was still the $1 million and that they would be picking up the cost overruns above that. So, I want to see it move forward. I'm willing to push it forward, but it's really disappointing that Caltrans isn't participating in this huge safety improvement for their facilities.
Any other questions or concerns from Santa Barbara? Any public comments on this item?
I have a comment. So we're paying $1 million extra because we held up and didn't go through with the roundabout. So at least my constituents would, between the two of them, would rather pay the $1 million, I think, than have the roundabout there. But I understand your frustration, Director Nelson.
Yeah, time is money. And so you're right. Yeah. The delay has caused increases and additional refinements to the design. So yes.
All right. If
There is no public comment.
there's no public comment, great. That was going to be my question. Since there's no public comment, I will entertain a motion.
So move, Julian.
Second.
Infante.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Director Williams,
Aye.
Caps,
Aye.
Hartman,
Aye.
Nelson,
Reluctant, aye.
Lavanino,
Aye.
Infante,
Aye.
Julian,
Aye.
King,
Also a reluctant aye.
Aguilera Hernandez. Richards,
Yes.
Clark, Rouse, and Chair Osborne.
I'm not a reluctant aye because when Robinson Bridge occurs, I'm sure there'll be a few of these, so I'll give you an aye, knowing I'll ask for the same later.
Okay, last but not least, item 5H. Santa Claus Lane Bikeway. Approve and authorize the chair to execute amendment number 13 with Ayers and Associates for construction public information services for the Santa Claus Lane Bikeway project with an increase of $30,000 for a revised total agreement amount not to exceed $2,833,045.
All right, any questions or concerns on this item? Any public comment on this item?
Chair Osborne, we have no request for public comment.
All right. Then entertain a motion for H.
I'll move approval. Richards.
All right. And a second.
I'll second that.
All right, so Richards and King. And then we have a recusal from
Director Williams.
Director Williams. A roll call vote.
Director Caps,
Aye.
Hartman,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Lavanino,
Aye.
Infante,
Aye.
Julian,
Aye.
King,
Aye.
Aguilera Hernandez, Richards,
Yes.
Clark, Rouse, and Chair Osborne.
Aye.
Motion passes 10-0.
All right, we are completed consent calendar. All right, item number 6.
Okay, item 6. Update on federal and state funding program opportunities. Receive an update on availability of funding through federal and state programs.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Director Sarkis Kachak, Director of Programming at SBCAG. We do have a slide deck. The slide deck does not contain any new information that was not included in the staff report. We just distilled it into a different format. And the PowerPoint will be shared after the meeting. So one of our roles at SBCAG is to monitor state and federal funding opportunities to potentially leverage local funding. Today, we have an update because there are multiple federal and state funding opportunities out there that we wanted to let our local partners and the board know about in case there are projects that they wanted to submit funding for. These are funding programs through the federal reauthorization or the bipartisan infrastructure law or through the California state budget. I do want to stress that there are multiple agencies administering these programs. So as I'd love to make it just one agency for everybody to make it easy. There are multiple. And these programs are based on climate adaptation and resiliency, safety, as well as reconnecting communities that have been impacted by transportation decisions in the past. Last thing I wanted to share is that we did share this with the Technical Transportation Advisory Committee, and there's a spreadsheet attached to the staff report. So with that, the first program I'm going to share is the Federal Safe Streets for All program. This is a new program under the bipartisan infrastructure law. This allows for funding for local agencies for either to develop a safety plan or to help deliver capital projects to improve safety for the traveling public or for pedestrians as well. There's over $1 billion available in the second year. So there are going to be 5 cycles of this program, and the applications will be due July 10th. We did want to share that there are numerous webinars being held by the United States Department of Transportation for this program. And so this is the first program. The second program is called the State Integrated Climate Adaptation and Resiliency Program. This is a program through the Office of Planning and Research in Sacramento. And so there are actually 3 sub-programs for adaptation planning grants, regional resilience planning and implementation, as well as extreme heat and community resilience grants. There's going to be $6.6 million available, and primary goal is to improve climate resilience, and you can see the eligible projects there. These applications will be due to the state by July 19th. The next program is a Caltrans program called the Clean California Local Grant Program. This is the second cycle. We had a couple projects funded from our region last year. One of them was for City of Santa Maria, and the other was for the Chumash. And there's going to be $100 million available to improve California through different efforts to clean debris, but also for beautification. And so this is a program that local partners can use local funds to help implement these additional programs. The application deadline is going to be April 28th to Caltrans. The next program is called the State Local Transportation Climate Adaptation Program. This is a program being administered by the California Transportation Commission. There's going to be $250 million available over 5 years. And this is also related to increasing climate resiliency. This is going to be available for capital improvements as well. And these applications will be due to the California Transportation Commission by June 28th. And then I think this is the final program. It's the State Reconnecting Communities Highways to Boulevards program. This is administered by the California Department of Transportation, or Caltrans. There's going to be $150 million available through the state budget for fiscal year 22-23. This program mirrors the federal Reconnecting Communities program. And so there have been a lot of transportation projects in the past that have divided communities. And so this program aims to reconnect those communities with different types of transportation improvements. And so applications will be due late summer, early fall, and there will be a workshop held on May 9th. So with that, that concludes the update. We did share this with our local partners a couple weeks ago, so they're informed, and I'd be happy to take any questions if there are any.
Any questions in Santa Barbara? All right, any questions here?
No questions, just happy to see that our staff are pursuing these many options.
Thank you. Director Nelson.
Yes, could you define what a beautification project is?
Yes, so there are areas where maybe there's just debris or transportation infrastructure that needs repair. And other ways to provide additional landscaping or improvements to sidewalks just to improve the experience for the users.
And is this in the Caltrans right away that we're looking
It'd be Caltrans or a local agency right away.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. So this is just receive the update. So thank you, staff, for receiving the update.
And Chair Osborne, there's no request for public comment.
Thank you
You're
for that.
welcome.
All right, we're down to the 1-minute reports. Do any of the board members or alternates present have a 1-minute update about activities in their cities or districts they'd like to contribute? We'll start in Santa Barbara.
Chair
Anyone?
Osborne, this is Director Hartman. I would like to request that we convene a Highway 154 Safety Committee meeting as soon as possible. We've had a number of tragic accidents at Ballard Canyon Road and 154, I'm sorry, Foxen Canyon Road and 154, and the community is really eager to have the agencies come together once again and explore what's being done.
Executive Director gave a thumbs up, so. Anything else from Santa Barbara? All right, anyone here in Santa Maria? Director Lamanino.
Thank you. I just, Santa Barbara County, we're going through our budget workshops right now. And one of the main areas of concern is how many millions that we're setting aside for storm repair damage on a lot of our streets and roads. And one of those in particular is the Guadalupe Dunes Road. So just want to let folks know that that is a top priority for us in getting that reopened.
Director Infante.
In a similar vein, Solvang, we lost at least half of the road down Alisal Road down to the Alisal Ranch from downtown. It's currently it's got stoplights at either side of it and directing it to one side while we repair it. That's going to cost us, we've already approved over $600,000 to do some repair. We will get some FEMA money back to help pay for that, but we are doing the storm damage as well. So that one in particular has been a problem for us. Thank you.
And I will just say thank you to the county for working so hard to get Halama Road back up. I saw a post of the work being done. So locals will appreciate being able to get back out to the beach and their burgers. So thank you for working on that. The State of the City for Lompoc is next week on Wednesday. So if anyone's interested, you're welcome to come. I think the chamber is still taking reservations, but I'm not sure because they manage that for me. And if you miss it and would like to tune in, we will have it posted to our city website via YouTube the following day. So thank you all for contributing to that conversation. And we'll hand it over to our executive director for her report. Despite being jet lagged from Ireland, I we're trying to get through this meeting for her so she can go get a cat nap to get through the rest of the day.
Great. I appreciate that, Mayor. Director Osborne, thank you so much. First of all, I need to thank Director Osborne, Lavanino, and Williams for advocating on the agency's behalf in Washington, D.C. It seems like a lifetime ago, doesn't it? It was a whirlwind week of a lot of meetings, a lot of walking around and advocating on our behalf on all the funding programs that we're currently in the queue for. So thank you so much for putting the time and effort into that. I do need to announce we hired a new temporary employee. I think Kent mentioned this in our training session. Robert Carrillo, he's going to be our traffic solutions temp helper through the Cyclemania. So it's a 3-month hire. We are going to be recruiting for a full-time position, transportation demand management level coordinator person in the next few months. So keep an eye out on that. Cyclemania is kicking off. We're starting it actually a little early this year on May 29th at the Earth Day celebration in Santa Barbara. There'll be multiple bike challenges throughout the county, including many prizes. So if you're an avid bicycle rider, you might be eligible for that, including an electric bike. So our goal is to have 1,200 unique participants in this year's competition. So we will report back on the effects of this year's Cyclemania. The copies of the Measure A report are out. Feel free to ask for more copies to give to your council members or anybody else who's interested in Measure A. It's a good overview of what we've accomplished in the past, actually 2022. So if you have constituents interested in that, feel free to point them there. It's also available on our website, correct? Yeah. And last but not least, we have a Central Coast vehicle strategy public workshop tonight. This will be held via Zoom, so anybody can attend. This is at 6:30 tonight, but we are accepting public comments on the strategy until June 9th. As you recall, this strategy is a 6-county effort from Ventura all the way up to Santa Cruz to provide more infrastructure for electric vehicles, as well as converting our fleets to electric moving into the future. So this strategy will be on your agenda for consideration in July, and I hope everyone approves it in the Central Coast. So with that, I'll end my report and turn it back over to the chair. Thank you very much.
All right. Any questions for our executive director? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to our Caltrans report.
All right. Thank you, Chair Osborne, members of the board. Scott Eads here today with you. I have a few items. First, want to just highlight board member Hartman bringing up the recommendation to reconvene the 114 Safety Task Force. I know that Peter Hendricks of our Traffic Safety Office has been in contact with Supervisor Hartman and her staff. So looking forward to participating in that when that comes together. And then I just want to highlight a few more things. One is this is, you may or may not know, this is National Distracted Driving Awareness Month. And to that note, the Office of Traffic Safety, Caltrans, CHP are working together on a statewide traffic campaign to encourage drivers to get off your apps so that you're aware of the road that you're driving. So it's a media campaign. It'll run through April 23rd. It'll feature a series of English and Spanish safety messages on video, digital billboards, digital platforms, and audio messages on the radio. In 2020, a person was killed in a crash involving distracted driving on California roads about every 3 days. These numbers are actually likely underreported because law enforcement officers may not always be able to tell that distraction was a factor in the crash. Very serious issue. As we all know, state law prohibits driving while holding a cell phone or other electronic devices. So a reminder to all of us. California Spring into Action was a recent campaign associated with Clean California. It was a community day events that took place last month. There was a series of events statewide between March 17th and the 27th. And the initiative was to remove trash and engage communities to transform public spaces. As part of these events, there were several throughout District 5 and throughout the state. And as part of the events, there were hundreds of them statewide, 58 tree planting and gardening events, 265 community trash collection events, 202 community cleanup events, and 39 educational and entertainment events statewide. 64 million pounds of trash were collected during an 11-day period. That's 5 times the weight of the Statue of Liberty. So we're really making a dent. I think our highways are looking much better based on the Clean California efforts. And so we really appreciate the community participation in these events. It's helped make a success. And ongoing community outreach and engagements efforts are going on with Clean California. To support that, there's tools and resources available on our website, including a downloadable public education materials on such topics as litter prevention, volunteer recruitment, and other things. So please check that out if you have time. And then finally, with respect to the last agenda item on the funding programs, I just want to highlight the letter of support. Caltrans is happy to provide letters of support for projects that we think fit the program well. And so for the US DOT Safe Streets for All discretionary grant program that Sarkis mentioned, we're accepting letters of support requests through May 19th. So happy to entertain those if you would like support from Caltrans on that. That concludes my report. Happy to take questions.
I think we lost your sound.
Any questions from Santa Barbara? I turned it off for a reason, so you wouldn't hear me. Does anyone have any questions for Caltrans in Santa Barbara?
None here.
All right, now we'll go on to Director Williams. Do you have a report for Losan?
Yes, we will have a meeting this coming Monday, so it's actually mistimed. So I gave the report last meeting.
Okay, Director Nelson. Calvan's report.
Yes, thank you. And it was on the agenda in part because we couldn't make a quorum, but many of us were still on the meeting, discussing some of the issues that we could talk about without taking action. We got one of the things, I'm still trying to get my feet underneath me on the committee, but I want to report back out to our commission is that there are 56 van pools in Santa Barbara County as part of Calvans. And there's an additional 30 in SLO County, 23 of those being in South SLO County, probably likely serving many of our farms here in the Santa Maria Valley. So just to help you all, that's about it's about 70, almost 80 Calvans that are operational in the Santa Maria Valley. The other piece of information I thought Director Williams would be interested in this, that we're gonna be doing some conversions of the vans to electric. There's not a good electric van out there. So Calvans has purchased 3 conversion kits, and we'll replacing some internal combustion engines that actually went bad in a few of their Mercedes-Benz versions, and we'll be going on 2017s with a few 100,000 miles on them already.
Wow.
So they're going to be sampling that out as a kind of a pilot project to see if that's going to be something that's operational moving forward. So just want to pass that information along.
Okay, thank you. All right, we are asking those that are in Santa Barbara and those that are here to return to closed session for an update. And we will come back out and adjourn the meeting as soon as we provided the update. So we will. All right, we have returned from closed session. Do we have any reportable action?
Chair, no reportable actions from reconvening closed session.
Thank you so very much. Thank you all for your patience through today. We got through it, and we will adjourn for our next meeting, May 18th, 2023 in Santa Barbara. Have a great day.